stream is starting.
So we'll have to talk business on here.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good. Business.
Business. We got a business.
Yeah, I got you. I referred you a client.
Yep,
See
you
that?
did.
I got you a client.
And then I'm going live to the MCN6
This is the Momentum
channel too.
podcast now. So.
Hey, up top. Welcome.
Yeah, no, it's like, at first I was like, I'm not sure I like the idea of a Momentum podcast. No, fuck, well, I better get a cut.
Get on payroll.
Yes. I mean, you're hiring everyone the fuck else.
Done and done.
All right, I'm posting to X.
Yep. And YouTube?
I think he posts to YouTube.
Who, me?
No, Gabe does.
YouTube, yeah, the stream is live to YouTube right now, and I'm just making it live to Facebook right now. Okay. Okay.
What do you... All right. I'll put this on...
I wish I could put it on Facebook, but we got... we got hacked.
Well, you can put it on your own Facebook.
Oh, I couldn't I? From MCN? I wish I could put it on Facebook. Could we get to hear that?
Well, you can put it on your own Facebook.
Okay, I'm going to start the commercial. Please stop wheezing.
Sorry.
That's her laughing.
His face.
Support for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Wrong About Everything podcast. I am GOP strategist and ready to knock Amy's block off, Brian McDaniel.
I'm former Republican Senate Majority Leader, and I ain't scared. Amy Koch.
Earphones.
The violence.
I am your friendly neighborhood lobbyist, Allison Nessie.
I am not a part of the Momentum Advocacy Group.
Yet.
Javier Morillo.
We would like to clarify that and emphasize that. And we are
Wrong
about
everything.
everything.
Why are you
What's
guys
this
threatening to beat?
jacket?
You're threatening. This little thing.
This little thing.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm a little colorful today because I'm leaving here to host the Moth.
And I'm going to go watch him host the Moth.
And the Moth stage is where I get to wear my crazy jackets. So
And as I said, in dark times, we need bright colors.
yes,
So
yeah, exactly.
I think that was Eric Lucero's high school graduation quote.
I'm gonna need you to shut up.
Anyway,
He wears fancy jackets, too.
who, me?
No,
Oh, Eric Lucero.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say, I don't think I do.
his are tasteless.
He didn't do anything to you today.
today,
Hey, sorry I brought him up. Anyway, welcome to the Minnesota Credit Union Network studios, deep within the recesses of MBC Studios here in Northeast Minneapolis. We want to give a shout out to our producer, Gabe, and direct you to our YouTube channel. Hopefully that's where you're watching us right now. We're trying to direct traffic over there. You hate X and you hate Meta. You hate all that stuff anyway. So just go watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We would love to have you there. Also check out our website, www.wrongabouteverything-podcast.com. I'm sure we can't ever have access to it again because Javier keeps saying mean things about our administrator, but that's okay.
What, the website?
Dustin.
I didn't say mean things. I just said he's a. I mean, he's an avowed transphobe, and he's out there like. Today's thing is like he wants to help deportation. So I just.
All right, well, that one's my fault.
I hope he boycotts.
That was an unforced error on my part. I can't even blame you for that. I just served that one up.
Yeah, you really did.
Okay,
you really did.
I'll be
Listen,
back.
we're living in extraordinary times, so it's,
I'll be back for Spanks and thanks. I'm just going to let you guys talk. But anyway, before that, I want to thank our good friends at Bradshaw and Bryant. Their entire team of attorneys and staff is dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you in a personal injury, wrongful death, criminal defense, or unconstitutional executive orders, please do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are free. Please contact them at 800-770-7008 or at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Hey, let's not forget, because speaking about some bright and color in the darkness, Minnesota Credit Union Network is hosting a rally at the Capitol on February 12th. Woo-hoo. And they're celebrating a significant milestone, the 100th anniversary of Minnesota's first credit union. Woo. So 100 years ago, people were getting that good credit union service.
I think last week we tried to determine what was the first one called. Was it just the?
Is that, I think that was in your own man. Ed.
Or,
you were working a credit union act or something.
Yeah.
We should workshop this material before.
No.
Do it on the air.
Anyway,
Are they gonna
it's
give you a
February
tight
12th,
pen at
everybody.
the-
So February 12th for our folks that are at the Capitol, and we've got a lot of listeners from 1:30 to 2:30. We're going to be in the Capitol Rotunda, celebrating this 100th birthday, really, of credit unions.
Oh, St. Mary's Cooperative Credit Association.
No, that's
Founded-
New
that's
Hampshire. That's Manchester, New
that's-
Hampshire.
Oh.
That say we have. I was going to say an ACE researcher, but it's a
No, it's
We have
You know what? You know what it is?
researcher.
100 years of
Research.
A researcher.
a researcher.
Oh,
who quickly
a
pointed out the first credit union
1925.
every year was in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Well, okay, but that was the first probably ever.
Yeah, right.
So Minnesota, 1925, Gabe. 100 years.
1925. All right.
Her math checks out.
I just
You look at me like, how would I know?
I just love that we keep referring to it as a rally. I just like a rally for credit unions is hilarious.
100 years of
It's like,
impact rally at the Rotunda. I'm just calling it what it is.
Credit union, credit
You've met the
union,
Tranche Master.
credit
You know how
I-
he gets
yes.
excited.
What do we want?
credit union.
Credit.
Reasonable interest
cards.
rates. Customer service and low interest car loans.
And anybody, if you've ever asked yourself, I wonder what the Tranche Master looks like, he's very handsome.
He's very handsome.
He will be there.
Yeah,
he
so
will be there.
We'll be happy to introduce you to him.
They should put his picture on the collateral.
That is not a bad idea.
Yep.
Yep.
Saying.
Yep. Yeah, send it around. Well, just so they still got time before the 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a last minute Tranche Master invite.
Yeah. He will be leading chants.
Yep.
Yep. Was the U.S. Federal Credit Union. There we go. 1925.
Minnesota's first.
Postal employees. Yeah.
Okay, so we have an ACE researcher now,
Yeah.
which is to say AI. Minnesota's first credit union was the U.S. Federal Credit Union, and established in 1925 by Minneapolis postal employees.
Well, there you go.
Look at that.
So
See?
we learned something today.
Yeah.
That's something to celebrate in a
Yeah.
rally at the
Oh,
I know.
Rotunda.
a nice strong connection between public workers and a credit union.
And-
We love it.
Those same people are about to be fired.
I know. It's just,
The postal workers?
Well, they're going to be
Every
offered
federal employee.
a generous buyout.
Yeah,
and then
a generous buyout that's not
members of-
authorized by law.
Members of the Trump family. We're
we'll
going back.
tell our children about what mail was.
Going back to
You know what? That is a question these days.
yeah, no, it's fair. Well,
Topical.
Tammany Hall.
Tammany Hall.
Yes, that.
Bosses, man.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
We should do a special episode.
On Tammany
A historical, yeah.
Wrong about Tammany Hall.
Wrong about Tammany Hall. All right, let's get
That would be good.
to present day Tammany Hall. What's the news?
All right,
Are we done?
well-
Are we done paying our bills?
Yes, we are done paying our bills. Well, you know, for everyone who thought that Trump in his second term was just going to say, "Hey, you know what? I got what I wanted. I got my revenge tour. Now I'm just going to coast into retirement." Nope. He is just doing whatever the hell he wants, whether it's constitutional or not. So what he did, this would have been yesterday, correct?
Yep.
Every day seems like a week. What he did yesterday was kind of just throw out a blanket freezing of unspent federal funds, which, and no matter who you are, in some way, shape, or form, this affected you, and kind of threw everyone into a little bit of a tizzy or a free fall about what that meant, because there was not originally a lot of definition put to it. Then we slowly started getting more information and FAQs, and that did not necessarily assuage people's concerns.
Which didn't really help, because they did a press conference, and a spokesperson for the White House said, well, this isn't going to affect direct payments to U.S. citizens. But that's just not how
That's not how
payments
this
work.
works. That's not how any of this works.
Right.
It was far more confusion than clarification. And I know it has been rescinded as of today, but the impact and fear and chaos that it is causing.
But there's even
But has it been rescinded?
Yeah, there's
Because
even
there was kind of a
confusion about
rescission of the rescinding.
Well, see, the executive order didn't actually instruct this to happen. It was
Right.
that memo. So the memo was rescinded. So technically, yes, like I asked someone working in government today, because and was told that their office was trying to pull down resources, federal resources today, and the portal was not working, which is what was happening yesterday. Why people were
Yeah,
not
it's been a mix though, because we've had people that have been saying the portals were working, they weren't working, then they're
Yeah.
working again. So it's been which is
It's-
also the problem, right? That's just an example of sort of the chaos that.
part of the confusion, but prior to the confusion of the portals and the rescinding, and didn't they? Wasn't that the order was rescinded? It was that the memo was rescinded. But a federal judge Tuesday ended up blocking the Trump administration's sweeping pause on federal funding until at least February 3rd, after the new White House policy caused significant disruptions to programs that fund schools, provide housing, and ensure low-income Americans have access to health care. So, this is something that is very serious, and I know that there's probably a lot of people out there that are government anarchists who would just love to anything that slows down or stops the government. But trust me, this affected you. This would have impacted you in ways that you don't like, and it definitely needs to. We need to know what this is before this just gets put into place. And this pause will give us time to figure out just what exactly this is going to do.
And as you teach constitutional law, and what do you teach?
American government.
American government. Well, but Congress controlling the purse strings is just sort of a fundamental thing. That money has been appropriated, and it has been appropriated by law. So his ability to even to do this is constitutionally dubious, which is why
someone compared it today, and I think rightfully, to Biden's deciding that he was going to forgive all student loans, $20,000 and $30,000 of student loans, and that was the Supreme Court said he could not do because he does not have the purse strings.
Yeah.
Right. So that is for Republicans.
Executive
that are
orders are a
this-
problem, everybody. And
Right.
It's not a Republican problem or a Democrat problem. It's a problem. It's a problem for us.
Yeah.
And
presidents can't spend the money. That's the Constitution.
It is quite clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in any event, this week we're still unpacking what happened there. The birthright citizenship, that was something also that had an interesting. It had its day in court, and the Reagan administration appointed judge said that. Here, I want to make sure that I get that right. I've been on the bench for over 4 decades, the judge said. I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as this one. This is a blatantly unconstitutional order. So there's no doubt that people from all sectors of politics are saying that we have an extremely broken border and immigration system and all of that. Now, birthright citizenship is in the 14th Amendment. This is not the first thing that we are that we should be looking at, and it is disturbing to me that we're just throwing things up against the wall to see what could stick in the first 2 weeks of this administration.
And I think it's worth remembering and talking about why it's in the 14th Amendment. Why the 14th Amendment is the amendment that essentially made slavery and
Dred Scott,
illegal, and that there was the explicit reason for doing it was so that black people could not be deemed non-citizens. And so that was for, like, this is a historically specific and to the United States and important for that very reason, right? This is the, like, no one needs to, today own the sins of the forefathers, but we do have to acknowledge that they happened, and that original sin of slavery and the enslavement of people to build wealth for white people and repealing that is the reason we have birthright citizenship. And so, like, the repealing that, first of all, requires a constitutional, like, amendment.
Would require an amendment. It's in the Constitution.
Right.
Every Republican that says that a right to an abortion is not in the Constitution, this is that same thing. If you're saying, well, you have to change the Constitution, this would be the same thing. We can do that. If this is what you guys want to do as a nation, you can do that. But there is a purposefully complicated process to that to prevent things from happening willy-nilly. And this was something that just did not have nearly enough thought. And Javier is 100% right about what the originations are of the 14th Amendment. And Dred Scott is tied to Minnesota very, very, very closely. I used to play softball at Dred Scott Fields in Bloomington, and if you go to historic Fort Snelling, that is where Dred Scott had been held, and all that. And he's right. This is so that they could not deem a person to be a citizen, and we have a process for this. And if you celebrate people born in America not being considered citizens, you just don't want them to get down the list far enough to where they get to you.
I mean, I think one of the things that we should all think about here, and because we are pushing up against this, is that our system of justice does depend a lot on just the agreement to abide by it, right? That the courts, including the Supreme Court, have no armies. I think it's Andrew Jackson famously said, like, let them force me to do it. And so the question is going to be, right? And when we look at Republicans getting in line behind Pete Hegseth, like even with Mitch McConnell voting against him, I think it's a reasonable question for people to ask is like that when, because I don't think it's an if, when they decide to simply ignore court orders, what is going to happen? Because there are not many recourses, and that is where we're at in the country right now.
Well, I wonder if the point is a little bit to, and this is not a good thing. I wonder how much is President Trump trying to, like, push the envelope, like, these are the promises I made, so I'm going to throw that out there, which, by the way, is a terrible thing for a president to do, because you are speaking for a whole nation. He spoke in his inauguration about how he was going to represent and be a unity president, and how he does these things to sort of push the envelope, to push buttons, and then he gets slapped back, and then he just says, well, it was a really good idea, but the court stopped me, right? But for folks that care about, like, immigration, for folks that care about what's happening at the border, for people that care about, right, like, all of those things, you're not helping the issue by, like, throwing gasoline on an issue. I often said in some ways Trump might be the only president that could actually do comprehensive immigration reform, because he's got, a strong stance at the border, and that perhaps he could actually negotiate some kind of solution. But when you do these sort of things, you don't help the cause. It's like I'm very much for, look, let's look under the hood. Let's pull out all this. Let's look at all the spending that's going on in the federal government. It's vast. It's complicated. There's certainly waste that is going on, and I'm all about, like, going in and finding things with this, taking a scalpel to things and figuring out where the waste is. There certainly is, but But this isn't a scalpel. This is like taking dynamite to everything and just throwing it into a room willy-nilly with no thought to, I mean, this was, you said, this was colleges. This was schools. This was nursing homes.
Like,
these were cities, every county,
Yep.
every, like as you said, if you think you weren't affected by what happened yesterday, you were. You just didn't feel it right away, but you would be.
Well, because it got stopped in
Right.
less than a day. But there were two things, not even getting super political about it, but there were two things that just deeply offended me as an American citizen. I was born here. So as an American citizen is one, in my class, I try to show students how well thought out and how well set up our government is to defend their rights, to give people, something that is supposed to be close to, equal protection and due process under the law. And then I show how the people who are in charge, I always say, like, government is the car and politics is the driver. We pick who drives the car, which is our government. And right now, in the first 2 weeks, our car is not being driven very responsibly. So I didn't like that it showed a disregard and a lack of respect for our governmental system. And then how this was handled yesterday with the blanket, stoppage of, or at least the attempt of the federal funds. What that showed me is a lack of respect of the citizens, because it happened without necessarily caring what was going to be the effect, on people, because that wasn't known. And the only reason that you would go forward with this, the way it was, is if you're just saying, well, I'm willing to roll the dice on what the consequences would be. And people, some people were saying, Start Early and WIC were affected. That wasn't true. So people shouldn't say that either. But but people didn't know.
That was true. It wasn't
wasn't.
uniformly true. But this is the thing.
How is it uniformly
I
true?
said it was not uniformly. I said it was not uniformly true. Settle down.
Settle down.
No, you settle
That
down.
jacket.
Both of you settle down.
Okay, can I talk?
Yes,
Jesus
please. Yeah, jump in there.
No, I just this man throws gasoline on all systems, on all norms, on all kind of the social contract that we have as a country. He continuously says it doesn't work for you. Don't believe it. They're out against you.
Right.
And then he gets in office and does exactly what he said he's been going to do. I mean, yesterday, shocking, not surprising, he has been talking about this. Yes, he contradicts himself all the time and says, I'm going to be a unifier. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be the best economy. You don't make the best economy by shutting off $3 trillion in a day and 10% of America's workforce affected by that. But I just really struggle with pretending that he cares at all, frankly, about the American citizen, about our institutions, about our norms, about our laws. He continuously, for 30 years, has pushed against them because it's about him.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about that, right?
Yeah.
For me, that was always with like any people that are, the deepest supporters of Donald Trump. I just always think like he doesn't. He has a way of making them feel seen, and I just think, but he doesn't actually care about you. His life is not your life. Your problems and your concerns and your day to day is not his concern.
No, he's a con man billionaire. Billionaires. He's not even a real one. Like, it's.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I never have understood that portion of it. And
Yeah.
and look, he's the president. He won. I understand. I can actually understand why people voted for him.
I do,
do.
and
I totally get why people voted for him,
Yeah.
and I get why people vote for him. And I also think, for the Democrats, like. For as much as you dislike him, you could say that everybody looked at the Democrats and went, "Yeah, but maybe not you guys."
We
right?
cannot articulate what we are for.
No,
like,
and even when you do, it's like, It's not what people. You just went too far.
And we had a listener put up a couple of questions about the 14th Amendment. The first sentence of the 14th Amendment is all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction, blah, 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 blah. So this is not for the parents. This is for the people who are born here. And Republicans, we love to be strict constructionalists. If you don't like that, there's a way we can change it. So you can change it, but what you can't do is change what it says. And that's what it says.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden we're cool with just interpreting things however we want, just remember, we're not going to have the White House forever.
It's not about context interpretation, by the way. Someone's commenting. This is not about folks that are immigrating here. No. These are not immigrants. These are for people born here and born to immigrants, maybe, but they are born on a U.S. soil. That's the deal.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Period. It's not open to interpretation.
Also,
if you're born here,
that
you're
listener
born
is
here.
clearly trolling us. He said, "Watch the debate. There's video of it."
Oh.
There's no video of the 14th Amendment debate.
All right. There you go.
You
We're
son
being
of a
trolled.
bitch. All right, Javier, you added something to the run sheet. Do you want to the buyouts, federal employees?
Well,
You're
yesterday.
going to make us Google something deep and historic, aren't you?
So no.
What is it?
Tammany Hall.
No,
You
Hall?
should know what Tammany Hall is.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
my favorite bar in New York City, right?
Oh my God! Stop.
I'm
it.
kidding.
Stop it.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
no.
With deep-rooted history and political
The
machines.
Javier and Brian show. No.
No. So yesterday,
Enough with the women.
it was reported that like all federal employees got a buyout offer. The buyout offer was worded exactly like the Twitter buyout offer was. The subject line was "fork in the road," and it was reported by most media just straightforwardly. Like people got offered a buyout as if this were like Target or something. And
Twitter, yeah.
just one, they have no legal authority to do this, nor because this is an incredibly expensive offer. The danger of this, of course, I mean, so not even the danger. This is again in the leopard, the leopard face eating party, eating your face, and everyone being like, oh my God, he's doing the thing that Project 2025 was. Point number one was to make the federal workforce into an army of Trump supporters. That is the authoritarian playbook that people like Orban have followed and elsewhere. It's like it is removing from civil service anyone who is not political, who is not specifically, not even Republican, just not specifically pro-Trump.
Just professionals.
Right.
These are
So-
professionals in their field.
Yeah, and so this is not going to shrink the workforce because here's like let's say a lot of people take the buyouts, and I'd say anyone who's a federal employee and listening to this, thing I would think about is look at how many times Donald Trump had contracts with people and just refused to pay them. They don't have the legal authority nor the budget to actually.
Hey, the
follow through.
Trump bucks.
Trump bucks, yeah.
That's
Trump-
that's
the Trump-
something.
They're-
that
Yeah,
they
they'll
can-
pay.
they can count on.
That's true. They could pay in his crypto.
Shoes or steaks or
Vodka.
or that Bible.
Potatoes.
Or the Bible, made in China. So what agents, you can imagine what happened in agencies that are required to, get paperwork out and whatever, and they're suddenly without employees. There'll be a crisis there. Then they'll hire new people. Then they will hire new people who are loyalists. So that is what's happening. I have friends who are federal workers who got this email, again, this is what they said they would do, and this is what they're doing, and this will put, similar to what happened yesterday with the federal grant money, it will bring lots of agencies to a halt if people take them up on this, if lots of people take them up on this. But more importantly, the end result will be we will have turned the federal workforce into a partisan army.
And this is not new. And I have no problem with shrinking government. I mean, as a Republican, there are just countless areas of bloat. So we can talk about that. We can address that. We can do things to make things more efficient using the private sector and all that good stuff. And nonprofits, frankly, because they do the work of government, so we don't have to agree. But back in the 1800s, for everyone who thinks, well, we should just be able to do this now because, we got the White House, we have Congress, we have the Senate, we can do whatever we want. The reason that we have the Hatch Act and other things like that was in direct response to when Democrats used to do this, where the political bosses, they used to call it Tammany Hall in New York, and where I grew up in Chicago, my grandma would talk about how who she voted for as a nurse and who my grandfather voted for as an electrician definitely impacted their employment. The purpose of these things is to stop making to the spoils system come back. This is not supposed to be where we turn over government every 2 or 4 years with all new people, because that is not how you get people who actually know how to help you. When you go to the post office, when you go to the DMV, you don't want somebody there on their first day just because maybe they voted the same way that you do. You want somebody that's going to be able to help you with your actual problem, and that's one of the things we have in government. You want government to be more efficient? I'm with you. If you think that can be done with people who don't know how it works, that's not how it works.
And it's so interesting, shrinking government. It's not shrinking government. We're just shifting it. We're outsourcing it. You're going to outsource the services. If it's not a public job or something, it's going to fall elsewhere. And then there's also no guarantee that you'll get paid for that contract you have, because they might freeze it, in a day. Because the majority of what was, put on pause yesterday, those used to be public jobs and public services and public things, institutions that we've now shifted to a different sector, the nonprofit or public-private partnership area. And so it's just a less secure for some of the most basic services that we expect of our government.
Yep. Hey, I hear we have an answer to the question, what's the magic number for quorum?
Well,
we do.
We do.
Little state news.
And obviously
everybody
biased. This, Minnesota Supreme Court ruled that a quorum for the Minnesota legislature is 68. I'm kidding about that. But
I tried to get you guys to guess what they would do, and you all chickened out.
I
will
here.
admit, I said,
here.
no, you were here. I will say,
you were wrong.
Yes, I was wrong.
I was not wrong. You were wrong.
You didn't guess.
Yeah, that means I was not wrong. You were wrong.
The point is, I feel like it could go either way.
But it absolutely could have gone either way, and this is the way it went. And I think Republicans.
What was the vote?
What do you mean?
On the Supreme Court?
I don't know, but we're going to pack it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to pack it.
We're going to just we're just going to start adding people to it until they get the answer that we want, because that was a good idea last year.
They gave the GOP a win,
Yeah, just the prior week.
Just the prior week.
I don't have a huge problem.
The governor was livid.
I know you guys.
I disagree with this. I disagree with this, but not like strenuously, because to me you.
That's what I'm saying.
We only have to me there's 133 and half of them are 67. That's world according to Brian. I'm not on the Supreme Court because it's all Democrats. But this is fine. But I don't see this as a let's spike the football, because the only reason why a quorum matters is because the Democrats aren't there. If they showed up on Monday, on Tuesday, today's Wednesday, or on Wednesday, you have a quorum.
Or on January 14th.
Or they just don't like what that quorum will be. And they're playing the cards they have. So, I mean, I guess we're gonna play this game. We're gonna have a war of attrition over 15 feet of ground on both sides. But to me, okay, now we know it's 68. The Republicans can't organize. The Republicans can't have committee meetings. But it does not change the fact that the only reason it matters is because the Democrats aren't there.
And the reason ultimately they're not showing up is because right now the vote is 67 Republicans and 66 Dems.
Yeah.
And so the Republicans would elect a speaker.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, as a majority. As, by the way, if anybody tells me the Democrats would do different, they're not being honest with themselves, because they wouldn't do anything different. And right, okay, yeah. Let's just admit it. So the Republicans, to avoid that happening, the Democrats aren't coming in. And look, and I just say, when does it end? Because the Supreme Court did. The very biased Democrat Supreme Court handed the Republicans a win the week before and said,
The morally compromised
I
Minnesota
think
Supreme Court.
it-
said that the special election that Walz called for yesterday was not correct. He violated state law and he could not call the special, and so they called it off. And now that special has not been called again. So we don't know when the seat
Why
for
is
Roosevelt.
that?
Well, because there's a certain rule about
it's like
when-
22 days after
the
they-
first day of legislative session. I mean, it's very clear.
Yeah,
But-
no. Yeah, and then we talked about it. We talked about
It's
it today.
quite clear. Even
Unfortunate.
this morally compromised
More, yeah,
Democrats.
even they couldn't bring themselves to crawl out of Gollum's hole.
That one was.
But
Oh, so I think he can't. The answer is he can't call
he
it.
can't call it for 22 days after
convening,
convening of the.
which we do admit they convened. We just admit they didn't have a quorum.
Steve Simon, gaveling on the 14th was the convening. That
So-
was alleged. But
You cannot sit out till the middle of March, folks. You just can't.
I agree, and I take a lot of comfort in the fact that Leader Demuth and Leader Hortman are speaking frequently.
See,
because we really.
So Leader Hortman was at the Capitol this week, just not on the floor.
here's what I don't understand. Why wouldn't the governor say, I am calling on Leader how do you pronounce it?
Demuth.
Demuth and Leader Hortman
To
to come to the
Yes.
residence,
Yes.
and we're
That's a
not
great
leaving
idea.
until we have an agreement.
I don't know that either of them like him.
I don't, but he has a bully pulpit that
because
they
here
do
is
not,
the-
and it
if
would be
this-
very hard to resist. It would be very hard to say no to
To
that.
say no to that.
I think both. I think, and if Lisa why can't I say
Demuth.
Demuth? I keep want to say Demuth. How do you spell it?
Demuth.
You spell
Oh,
it.
that's why it's my brain's
But
doing
it's
that.
Demuth.
But it's Demuth. Got it. Sorry about that. I don't mean disrespect. But so I think it would be hard for them to say no, right, with the public pressure.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Well, because here's
why
a very real problem.
Yeah,
The really
there is
very
a
real problem is that the budget is due.
Yeah.
There is a constitutional requirement
Oh,
to
yeah.
finish the budget, as I learned very much the hard way.
This was the Amy Koch shutdown.
No,
Amy Koch
it's Governor
shutdown.
Dayton shutdown.
I remember it well.
Longest
I couldn't
shutdown
get
in
a
state
fishing
history
license.
by Governor Dayton.
Yeah.
That you must, first of all, they're to be out at the end of May with a budget done. That is not required, but that is when they must adjourn. Then they can call a special session, and they have until June 30th to finish the budget. So if things go on until this special session takes place, which is sometime in March, they're going to have a very few weeks to
Special
come up.
election.
A special election. I'm sorry, special election. They're going to have a matter of weeks to come to an agreement about the budget, and it's just not going to
Well,
happen.
it's disenfranchising because what's going to end up happening is the Senate, which is properly organized right now, they're going to start doing budget bills, and then they're going to send those budget bills over. They can't do bonding and they can't do taxes because those have to originate in the House. But they're going to start sending over budget bills, which is so essentially what's happening is we're the House. And remember, I'm a creature of the House, not like Amy. I wasn't in the House of Lords there. I was in the House of Commons.
It's not actually a thing.
Yeah, it's totally a thing. But in any
You
event,
guys, you're drinking water, which you can't do in the Senate.
Well, not on your desk. They're antiques.
House of Lords.
House of Lords. Anyway, but in any event, what we're ceding.
Why are you looking me in
authority-
the eye? You can't do that in the Senate either.
Can't look the president in the eye. You can't look around.
You're not wearing
the room.
I'm
you're
sorry,
not wearing
President.
trousers,
You
are
can't
you?
look behind
Are you
you.
wearing trousers?
I am the president of this podcast. Don't look me in the eye. Go.
Anyway, but anyway,
address
so
someone
so
directly.
essentially we're trusting that the Senate is going to do the work of the House, and we need both of them doing this. They're not giving themselves enough time. We're going to end up having special sessions. We're going to be up against
Right.
the June 30th date for a shutdown. Izzy Rojas isn't going to be able to have her wedding. It's going to be terrible.
What the hell's that?
These are friends.
Shout out to Momentum team member Izzy Rojas.
Okay,
who
this
planned
is
her
not the
wedding.
Momentum Advocacy podcast. Just want to remind
She
folks.
is trying to get
Wait,
married.
well, if there are any Democrats who would like to come on Wrong About Everything who don't work for Momentum Advocacy, get in touch with me.
or Republicans. I got a lot to do. But in any event, this is now. Let me just
Momentum advocacy.
I'll let you finish. But this is something where the work of the people is not being allowed to be done, and as citizens, not Republican citizens, not Democrat citizens, but as citizens, we should have a huge problem with this. And there are only so many things about that they can say. They can say we're going to seat Brad Tapke. We're going to let the speaker, be Republican because it was the Democrats who farted around in Roseville, and there are consequences to those actions. Allison.
Yeah, no, the Tabke, I understand Leader Demuth has a very challenging position. In fact, being a speaker in this dynamic would probably be the worst thing possible because
I'm not sure anyone
you
should want that
can
job.
be speaker, you can have all GOP chairs of every committee, but at the end of the day, you can't pass a bill off the floor unless it's bipartisan. So it's an incredibly challenging quagmire no matter what. So, I mean, I understand holding out for a power sharing agreement. There is so much power in committee chairmanship, in an agenda, in the bills, and in the structure. And I don't think that, I understand what the DFL is doing because at the end of the day, it's going to be tied. And until there is a commitment to that, I gotta hold off on committee work.
I just think you have to think about the people of Minnesota. And I think that in the end, and I speak as someone who was deeply in the minority for most of my time in the Senate, and it does stink, but you still can get a lot of work done. And by the way, it's the smallest, slimmest, almost non-existent minority that exists. So just get people of Minnesota don't care who the speaker is. They don't care about chairs. And in this case, there is almost zero power actually in those chairs, and there's zero power in that speaker because you don't get to bring anything to the floor that at least one Democrat doesn't agree with. Almost zero power. And by the way, you still have a DFL Senate. We had a special election yesterday for the Senate, for Senator Kerry Dietzig's seat. We have a new senator that will be installed. It will be DFL, Doran Clark. And so the Democrats are going to have that. As last time I checked, Governor Walz is a DFLer still sitting in the governor's seat. Like there's this argument. I think that if when people of Minnesota ask me about it, and I let them, they're like they don't understand.
Did you just say when the people of Minnesota ask me about it?
When people of Minnesota ask me about it.
Is there like a hotline?
There is kind of a hotline. People just come up to me and ask me stuff. I'm sorry.
When the people of
She's
Minnesota.
a bipartisan objective queen.
I'm sorry. People do want to know, and I respond to the public. I hate you guys.
Just like she did in 2010.
I know, but Amy, when you said, they're the majority, and it's like, it's only temporary. This majority is only temporary.
But it exists, and you're just going to sit out. You
Well,
have to come to work.
And we're all
sorry.
all making a mistake, one that is understandable, but we're all making the same mistake, assuming that the special election in March in the Roseville seat will be democratically held. It is an election, and yes, I'm not an idiot. I mean, that's a pretty blue seat, and the Republican probably isn't going to win. But we might be going through.
I don't think that's I'm agreeing with you.
Yes, but I also think that we are just presupposing that we're going to be tied.
It's no one's seat.
It is no one's seat.
It's no one's seat. And so I would say there are consequences to Curtis Johnson not living in that district, and I think the Democrats.
Where is that fucking guy?
At the Capitol.
He was at the Capitol the first day. All the Democrats didn't show up, but he showed up.
He did. Yeah.
Can't make
So
that up.
bravo,
That's pretty funny.
Democrats.
That's pretty funny, though.
Bravo, Democrats.
I was laughing so hard. I was not laughing.
Well, actually, what he just said was, "Hey, if you seat me, I'll let you get a quorum."
I just think Brad Tapke should have just showed up day one and said,
should have.
just him though.
Now, by the way, there has been an update in that. I don't know if this happened.
And I'm
I don't
kidding.
think
I
is
do not
that
think that.
Aaron Paul,
Yeah.
the opponent
Yeah.
to Brad Tapke, said that he will not be moving forward with any. He will not be challenging the election any further. So the Shakopee seat, Aaron Paul is step back. He said, it was a tough race, stinks to lose, especially that tight, and with the questions around those missing ballots. But he did the right thing, and so I do want to say, thanks to Aaron Paul.
Yeah, now we just need commitment that they'll seat him.
And maybe run again, Aaron Paul.
Now, we also presuppose that there's 34 Democrats in the Senate because we have Senator Mitchell, and they had another vote to unseat her, which did not actually progress to a vote because she got to be the tying vote to say it was out of order. And
yes, there was a question of whether she should recuse herself, and apparently the rule of the Senate is you get to decide if you're a decent person whether you should recuse yourself or not, and lo and behold, she voted.
And we know the votes probably aren't there to unseat her because it's not just a simple majority to actually unseat her, but it does put the Democrats, it's a good tactical move because there are many Democrats, not enough, but many Democrats in the Senate who do not think that she should be sat. They do not want her in her caucus. And the people of Woodbury, once again, let's just be a populist thing, people of Woodbury are not being able to have the voice that they should have.
She's not seated on any committee.
Because she's not on any committees. And that's a DFL choice. All right. Anything we need to say about Doran Clark other than we said that he won?
Can't wait to work with him. Super excited.
Oh, handily.
Yep.
I mean, specials, anything.
Well,
I mean,
The 90s.
I mean, it's Northeast Minneapolis.
And I understand, but I, bartended in Northeast for many years, and they're not necessarily.
Nick, can I just tell you the funny thing about that race? The primary part was that all these progressives were running hard against Monica Meyer, who has literally worked in the nonprofit sector for years as a corporate sellout because of some of her donors, and Doran Clark literally works for Medtronic. This is the level. This is the level of absurdity that happens at intra-party, where where people just nitpick about to find differences.
You're talking to
It was
Republicans, we
hilarious,
know.
but I was just laughing my ass off. I was
No,
"Are you damn crazy?" Especially Monica's been a movement person for decades. This isn't some random person, but she was ED of Outfront for years and led the campaign to defeat the amendment, the constitutional amendment, all that.
Pretty
It's
corporate to me.
Corporate sellout. Corporate sellout. But congratulations to Doran Clark. Definitely not a corporate Democrat.
Plugs.
I am hosting the Moth tonight.
Hey. And Brian's going.
I'm going to go. I'm going to watch.
Yes. I think we're going to make him a judge.
What's the, remind everybody.
The theme
what's
is happy accidents.
And are there any tickets left? Probably.
I think we're sold out, but actually, if you live near there, I would not recommend going. But if you live close enough that you can and you want a ticket, you show up. Usually, there's
at the Parkway.
someone doesn't show up or whatever, and
okay.
we have some extra seats.
Well, that would be a happy accident.
That would be a happy accident. See, I see
Actually,
what you
Happy
did there.
Accidents was the original name for Depends.
Yeah, you should workshop.
That's also
these
my
things.
nickname as a kid, but
Anyway.
just kidding.
All
My
right.
mom and
All
dad.
right, any Patreon things to report?
No, we have. Wait, let me go on to something else. Let me check.
Should
Amy?
I do plugs?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I guess we got time.
So you can look for some comments in the New York Times this week, as well as Brian and I every Tuesday on the BS podcast. Just heard from a well-placed commissioner in this administration that listens to the BS podcast.
Really?
I'll tell you later who it is. And also every Friday now, 8:20 on WCCO Friday mornings, 8:20 a.m. with Vanita Sakar. We're calling it the Capital Clash. You can catch myself and Jeff Hayton, and we're going to be doing this all through sessions. So it's a regular feature. Let me know what questions you have, what things you'd like me to be answered. I'll get them to Vanita, and you might hear things discussed on Capital Clash.
Anything?
No.
Normal person?
Normal person.
Well, I'm a normal person as well, but I'm going to be on Almanac this Friday, 7 p.m. on TPT
Oh,
channel.
they asked me to, but I'm visiting family this weekend. The Boston family.
Are they coming into town?
No, we're going there. We're just for the week. And I'm going to
what
see.
about even the hot one?
I'm going to yes, even the hot one. I'm going to see 3 hockey games. This.
Ooh,
You're so Boston
wow.
now.
Oh, it's crazy. 3 hockey games. Like our niece has 2 games. She's the daughter of the hot brother, as you call him. He's my brother-in-law. Come on.
Okay.
And
What do you think's hotter, the brother-in-law or Javier's actual brother?
Oh, Javier's brother.
okay, this is not a conversation.
You started it.
All right.
Hold on.
you'd
hold
already
on,
done
hold
that.
on,
I did
let me
not.
think about it.
I literally did not.
Let me think about it.
Anyway,
You brought up
It's fine.
family.
The other is our
It's
nephew.
difficult.
Our nephew.
to say.
Our nephew. Keegan. No, I'm sorry, Keeley. Keeley is the younger one. Who just got into University of Chicago. Congratulations, Keeley. He's playing as well. So we're going to see 3 games.
Well, watch your 6 because that's not a good neighborhood. But
What?
watch your 6 at the University of Chicago. It's not a great neighborhood.
But behind
Oh,
you.
I see. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I wasn't done. So I'm on Almanac on Friday. And then on Monday, I will.
But normal person.
A normal person. But on Monday, many people who are part of the Momentum Advocacy family are going to be working with Shaletta Brundage at Black Entrepreneurs Day at the Capitol. You might remember
I
that.
thought it already happened.
We have it every year.
No, I mean, like in this last week, I thought, oh no, okay, I thought
They were up to
I-
something else. Him and Shaletta are always
Yeah,
up
we
to
did.
something.
Yeah, no, Shaletta's on a tear about Target.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
yeah.
loving it.
And Amazon, she's really going.
All right.
Yep.
You got it.
Anyway, so that's February 3rd. I think it starts around 10 o'clock. I should probably know that. But it starts at 10, and that's something that is a bipartisan event. Republicans, our friend Jim Nash will be speaking, and it's going to be a good time. So I'm happy to be part of it. And Spanks and thanks. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. But thank, actually, I guess, speaking of Target, is so Target, along with lots of other corporations, have bowed down to dear leader by eliminating their DEI policies. That is diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Target has actually been an incredible leader in this area, and I know some of the people who were leaders. One person in particular who was a leader within Target of that, who no longer is with Target, was chatting with him, and there, internally there's a lot of people are very upset about the direction of the company. I think if it were not. It's one thing for this to happen. It's another thing for it to be tied so directly, and all these corporations just like bending over because the president said so. This is, hey guys, this kind of like corporate allegiance to a political figure is literally fascism. But it's, I said Spathank because Twin Cities Pride decided to drop Target as a co-sponsor of the Pride Festival this year, which left a $50,000 hole in their budget, which the community stepped up and raised more than that within just 24 hours. So I want to thank the community of queer folks and supporters in Minnesota who stood up for Pride. And stood up for Pride being not just about queer people, but about all queer people and all people, and recognizing that we as a society have a long way to go toward equality, no matter what Donald Trump says. My thank is to a friend of mine whose name I will not give because they are literally concerned for their job. My friend works for the federal government, works for the Veterans Administration, and has worked in a lot of different roles. He started out as a GS4, now as a GS10, so like has worked his way his way up. He texted me last night or this morning rather about this offer of buyouts. He wrote, "Many people will take this offer, and many agencies will come to a processing standstill with the unexpected shift in staffing levels. Backlogs will grow, but what scared me most is in all of the comment sections, people ripping all 2.3 million federal employees as, quote, deep state bureaucrats. No, we are people too, just trying to do our jobs. We are not the enemy, but the media and the administration has made us out to be this common enemy of everyone. I am not. I just want to help and serve. It's who I am. It's what I live for. During my time, I have processed over 3,000 claims for veterans' disability payments. I have personally conducted the burials of 1,700 veterans and their eligible dependents. I have enrolled thousands in VA healthcare, and I have processed labs for tens of thousands of veterans. I have made a difference, and the world can't see it. I am the enemy." And to my friends, I'm just saying what I said. You are not the enemy. To people who make our government work, I am sorry that you are under attack. This is the contrary to what many people believe. You don't get rich for working for the government. This is a middle class job that my friend has, the level of disrespect, but those toxic commenters are precisely the people they want to replace my friend. That's exactly the army that they want running government. So, thank you, friend.
Amy or Allison?
Go ahead.
I'm only going to do a thank this week because the last 24 hours have been incredibly taxing for a lot of people, and that leads into my thank. And it's similar to yours, Javier. We work with so many human services, nonprofits who do, homelessness, emergency shelter providers, substance use disorder providers, just who only serve people on Medicaid, people who are uninsured. So many people that we work with provide the safety net for people who are living outside and all of the challenges that they face. And in the last 24 hours, frankly, for the last 4 years, since COVID, the acuity of need in this area has just gotten so much. It's just grown so much. And everybody always says, like, the system doesn't work, or the system this, the system that. The system is people. It is made of people who are supporting other people. And it is incredibly taxing work. And then to be demonized and also have your livelihood threatened in just the release of a 2-page memo is so terrifying to an incredibly challenging 4 years. And I just know that the leaders of these organizations, the staff that work day to day, are just absolutely fried, but they are the fabric of the safety net. And I just want to thank everyone who does that work because we need them desperately.
Amy?
Okay, I have a double thank, actually. So the first one goes out to one of our listeners. It's Andrew Korsberg, and Andrew sent me a very lovely message on Twitter, and he wanted to point out something because we had talked about when we were talking about the folks that like the what's happening in the House and the question of pay, and I pointed out that when we were in shutdown, I did not take pay because I knew the importance of that for state employees that were also not being paid. And my understanding at the time was that state employees did get retro pay. I didn't. I thought they got retro pay, but Andrew pointed out he works for one of the agencies. I won't name that, Andrew, but that they did qualify for unemployment. But if they qualified for unemployment, that they did not get back pay. So I wanted to thank Andy, and he sent a really nice and he said it's different potentially for federal shutdowns, but in the case of that, they did not. And so I want to thank him for getting me that information and also being so darn polite and information and have such good information about it. And then my second thank is today convicted in New Jersey was former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez.
And the ingots.
And the ingots. So as you all remember, a U.S. Senator sitting as the chair of the Foreign Services Committee was found to have, well, first of all, he had Googled how much is a gold bar worth. He and his wife were on the take for nearly $1 million.
I think that's called an ingot.
Ingot. Thank you. You just want to say ingot.
great
He and
word.
his wife were on the hook for for almost $1 million taken from foreign governments, by the way, while he sat as the foreign chair, and he took it in the
Listen.
form of ingots and rare coins and diamonds, I assume.
I think we should tell people that he was very clear that it was all his wife's fault, just like
Right,
she
like
was
a
super
real
clear
man.
in church that it was all in court that it was his fault. They literally separated their defenses so they could each blame the other.
He said, sadly, I have lost everything. Yeah, because
All the ingots?
all the ingots
All the ingots.
are
The
apparently
ingots are
gone
lost.
for a man who spent his entire life in public service on the take every day. I'm awake as a punishment. Now, I'm sorry that he feels that way. I don't wish that for anyone. But the facts are you were acting literally as a foreign agent while sitting as a U.S. senator in a high powerful position, and he got 15 years. I think that's
11.
fair.
Yeah. I had heard that he threatened other senators very viciously for the ones who were calling on him to resign. And so,
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Good luck
with his
exacting that
small
retribution.
Amount, I'm sure with his power, he was threatening everyone. That's
yeah.
why
Yeah.
he sat for a very long time
yeah.
after this was discovered. I'm sorry, he did get 11. Brian, you're right. They asked for 15. He got 11. So there we go. All right. So
It's that compromised judiciary that
There you go.
only gave him 11.
Thank.
Gold
and
bars.
bye, Bob.
Bars. All right. Well, so my spank is going to be I went to high school at Robinson Armstrong High School, but I was supposed to go to Cooper High School, which is in the same district, obviously, but I was 4 houses outside of the Armstrong High School, and I chose to go there. So I did not go to Cooper, but I grew up in that area. And 6 people are in custody after attacking a high school basketball player with a pipe during a game at Cooper High School Tuesday. And I don't know.
Jesus.
I don't know many of the specifics here, so I don't know what the guy did or what he didn't do. But what happened was he was on the bench, and 6
Aye.
people
Aye.
came and beat him with a pipe.
And they weren't high school students.
They were not high school
yeah,
students.
this was not a
Yeah.
peer on
yeah,
peer.
Yeah, no. So I know.
Two
so,
adults and 2 juveniles.
Yeah. So this is and this is something that I want America. I want us to look at ourselves. This was not politics. This was not right, left, center, anything like that. This is just people devolving as a society. And this is there's lots. Javier will tell you there's lots of things he's afraid of. These are the things that I'm afraid of because we are losing our humanity. And it's not any one thing, but people cannot just waltz into a school and as a high school student you should be able to participate in activities and feel safe, and quite obviously that did not happen in this case, and now it is something that we probably have to worry about happening more and more. But this was terrible. When I saw this today, I changed my spanks and thanks and thought I just need to talk about this because that is a horrible thing. So hopefully the person who was injured was not injured beyond repair. And then for my thank, a friend of mine, a friend of the program, Mark Nisley, contacted me this morning saying that one of his beloved professors had passed away. And then I did a little bit of research on the person, and his name was Roger Mandigo. Not Mandingo, but Roger Mandigo, who in the 70s was asked to create a product with pork trimmings, one that could be sold by a fast food chain. And he developed technology that used salt to extract proteins from muscle, and those proteins then helped hold the smaller pieces of meat together. Yes, this man made the McRib.
The technology.
He
for
made
the meat.
the McRib. They call them meat scientists. in the article.
Or the
I know.
meat trimmings.
I have some in my family.
Yep.
Extracting the protein.
But they are the reason. He is the reason that we have the McRib.
And diabetes.
And diabetes. So Mark knew that this would be something that would pique my interest, and it definitely did. And I felt that Mr.
Oh, look at that.
Mr.
Have you had a McRib?
no.
Ever?
No, never had a McRib.
No. No.
No.
Or
Also
a
not
filet
had a heart attack.
Or a filet of
Yeah,
fish.
I've had both in there.
I think I've had a filet of fish. 'cause
Filet
I'm
of fish.
Catholic.
Filet
Catholic,
of
you
fish
gotta have
aren't as
some.
they're not as good. They're not as good as I want them to be.
I love filet of fish. I ate those for a long
But
time.
I've never eaten a McRib.
But,
When is
I've never eaten a
McRib
McRib
season?
because it looks so gross. And I know people swear by them, but like it's so clearly not actually a rib, or like what is that? What is
Well,
that mean?
Well,
Stripped
it
meat
is
trimmings
stripped
held
meat from the
together.
proteins held together.
Well, the salt extracts the proteins, and then you put the meat trimmings together.
It's
and you
poured,
make this-
Javier.
but
It's poured.
But this
From gray
this
to-
man is not. You know, his whole life is not the McRib. The article clearly says that even though he received the most public recognition for his work in restructured pork. Which led to the development of the McRib.
That
His
is not
body
a
of
thing.
work
That
led
is
to
not a
many
thing.
breakthroughs that influeed the meat industry.
That is not restructured pork. Pigs are fine as they are.
It's delicious.
I mean, like the pig. We do enough things to these
I
very
like
smart
ham.
animals. Like, oh
Jimbo?
my god.
Yamon.
I feel very strongly about pork as a girl whose whole family's from Austin, Minnesota, and many
And
people
the
working
home
in the
of
plant and the home of Spam, who made Spam for years. And but there are lines. There are lines.
The
That
spam is
a
not a
line.
line, but the McRib is a
Well,
line.
that's spiced ham. I mean, that's quite obvious.
I don't
mean-
think I've ever had spam
Spam is a
Well-
staple of Puerto Rican food.
in Hawaii.
And Hawaii
all
and
that.
everywhere.
Yeah, but anyway, okay.
All
So
the colonies.
So obviously, our friend Mark sent this to me because he knew that I would find humor in
And
the
it-
McRib.
and indeed
but
you did.
But he was actually Mr. Professor Mondigo was very important to Mark at the University of Nebraska Lincoln. So Mark, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was acknowledging a great man's great contributions to society.
The pork industry is incredibly important for this state and this country, and thank you for your service.
Yes. And with that,
yeah.
I am GOP strategist and McRib enthusiast, Brian McDaniel.
And I am proud creature of the Senate, Amy Koch.
I am normal person, Allison Nessie.
I am Democratic strategist and the Puerto Rican heat, Javier Murillo.
And we are Wrong About Everything.
Take us away, Gabe.